right, so we are down to 2 examples, and both of these are going to be subtraction. The process is going to be exactly like the addition problems, but you've got to be real careful of that subtraction sign here, okay? So to start out, just like the addition problems, first thing I'm going to do is factor the denominators. All right, to get a common denominator here, I got to work a little bit harder than I did before. They've both got an x minus 2, but this one's got a 2 and this one doesn't. So I need a 2 over here. So I'm going to multiply by it on the bottom and on the top. And they're closer to being the same, but they're still not quite the same because this one has an x that this one doesn't have. So I'm going to multiply by an x here, but I also have to do it on the top. Now my denominators are the same. Let's write it as one big fraction. Okay, there's my common denominator. Here's the first numerator minus the second numerator. And now I have to simplify those numerators, which means I got to get rid of my parentheses and combine like terms. So I'm going to start out by distributing 2 here. And I get 2x plus 4. Now, here's the part you got to be careful of. You've got to distribute negative x. Not just the x, but negative x. When I do that, it gives me negative x squared minus 2x okay, there's my denominator. Let's go ahead and combine like terms, and I'm going to put it in standard form as I do that. So my negative x squared will come first. A positive 2x and a negative 2x will cancel. And then I've just got my plus 4. Recopying my denominator. Okay, let's go ahead and state our restrictions here. I've got to do 2x can't be 0, so that means x cannot be 0. This part will give me x cannot be 2. Now I have to take and factor this numerator to see if anything will cancel with stuff on the bottom. So the numerator, I can first take out a negative 1, and that'll leave me with x squared minus 4. Here's my denominator. Continue to factor that numerator into an x plus 2 and an x minus 2. And now you can cancel your x minus 2's. And I get negative 1 times x minus 2 over 2x. And remember, I told you if there's less than 2 factors, or if there are 2 factors or less, for me, I want you guys to go ahead and multiply it. If it's 3 factors or more, just leave it. But since this is 2 factors here, I'm going to distribute my 1. So I get negative x minus 2 over 2x, and my restrictions are 0 and 2. Here is my simplified answer. So you can see this problem was just like the addition. But where you've got to be careful is remembering to distribute the negative x and not just an x. Okay? If you don't distribute that negative x, you will miss a sign somewhere. So now here is our very last example. Okay, if you think you are, good enough, go ahead and work it and then come back and check it with mine or pick up where, if you happen to get stuck. If you're still not sure, just follow right on along with me on this one. Okay. So first, I'm going to factor my denominators. The first one, I can't factor it. For the second denominator, that factors into x minus 2 times x minus 1. So both of these denominators already have an x minus 2, but this one also has an x minus 1. So I need an x minus 1 on the bottom here. But if I multiply by it on the bottom, I also have to multiply by that on the top. So now let's write this as one big fraction. So here's the first numerator minus, and here's where you need to put that second numerator in parentheses because this subtraction sign goes with the entire numerator. So when I write it as one fraction, this minus has to go with all of that. So put it in parentheses so you don't make a silly mistake. So now on the top, to get rid of my parentheses, I have to do FOIL with these two right here. When I do FOIL, I'm going to get x squared plus 2x minus 3, okay, and that was FOIL. Then I'm going to distribute this negative to both of those. So I get minus 6x plus 7. Let's go ahead and combine our like terms in the numerator. That's going to give me x squared minus 4x plus 4. On the bottom, I get x minus 1 times x minus 2. State your restrictions. X cannot equal 1 or 2. And now, just like yesterday, we want to factor the numerator. Oh, that's not an x minus, sorry. That should be x minus 2, not a plus. And that's also going to be an x minus 2. My denominator is x minus 1 times x minus 2. And I can cancel one of my x minus 2's on the top with the one on the bottom. My simplified answer is x minus 2 over x minus 1 with x not equal to 1 or 2. And there is your simplified answer.